welcome back to Well, That's Interesting, the Love is in the Air edition. Today is episode 267. The act of kissing dates back 21 million years and the earliest known jawed ancestor so far. My friends, would you look at the date? If you're listening to this on the day of its release, within the nation, nearly everyone has a complicated relationship with the United States, then you know this weekend is Valentine's Day. And that in itself is complicated. Some folks out there are pure in heart, and they view this holiday as an opportunity to celebrate family and friends and show appreciation through thoughtful gifts or quality time. Some other folks, though, would happily drop-kick this day into an endless abyss after tearing off their clothes in an anti-capitalist frenzy and setting fire to a copious mound of those heart-shaped boxes filled with assorted chocolates. In sum, there are many feelings about this day. So I wanted to find something all listeners of this show would happily raise their glass to with fondness and a teary eye. I believe today, on this Valentine's Day, we should celebrate our face holes known as mouths. In the first half of the show, the mysterious act known as kissing. Now, I say mysterious because this behavior isn't actually truly understood. And that's because, just as with your relationship with the United States and Valentine's Day, it's complicated. For example, in a recent study published in the July 2015 issue of American Anthropologist, a study aptly titled, "Is the Romantic Sexual Kiss a Near Human Universal?" the answer is no. Yeah, you heard me. After defining romantic sexual kissing as lip-to-lip contact that may or may not be prolonged, the research team found that, quote, despite frequent depictions of kissing in a wide range of material culture, we found no evidence that the romantic sexual kiss is a human universal, or even a near universal. The romantic sexual kiss was present in a minority of cultures sampled, that being 46%, end quote. Now, according to my podcast analytics, a large number of us listening to this show right the fuck now are from cultures where kissing is inescapable. It's part of our everyday lives, so to hear that 54% of other cultures are like, ew, that's gross, what's wrong with you? It may feel like a shock. And that shock may have quickly transitioned into a question like, why? Why don't they kiss? Why do we do it then? Well, I'm happy to say for us weirdos who do like to kiss, researchers from biologists to anthropologists have theories. And honestly, it feels like you can mix and match them to answer those questions depending on a number of variables. In the study I just mentioned, the authors noted, quote, there is a strong correlation between the frequency of the romantic sexual kiss and a society's relative social complexity. The more socially complex the culture, the higher frequency of romantic sexual kissing, end quote. So not only can we take culture into account, but as reported by Clarissa Brincat of Live Science, there may be strategy going on as well, even on a subconscious level. Quote, one idea is that kissing helps individuals boost reproductive success. For example, kissing a potential partner may help people gauge a mate's quality through subtle chemical cues, which can offer clues about a person's overall health, genetic compatibility, immune system, and the makeup of their oral microbiome. Researchers have also proposed that kissing strengthens social bonds and may even benefit immunity by allowing the exchange of microbes, end quote. It looks as though the answer is as assorted as those box of chocolates still smoldering in that funerary pyre. Thankfully, though, I have good news. Kissing gets even crazier. This behavior isn't exclusive to humans. Oh, no. Mouth-to-mouth contact has been documented throughout the animal kingdom. And it, too, serves a multitude of purposes, again, depending on who is smooching whom. In a 2020 paper titled Pre-Masticated Food Transfer by Wild Chimpanzee Mothers with Their Infants, it was noted that mother orangutans and chimpanzees, transfer chewed food to their babies using their mouths. In many aquatic studies, fish have been seen engaging in what's called kiss fighting to assert dominance or to compete for territory. Specifically, the exceptionally spot-on named French grunts. According to a 2009 study by W. Bailey and M. Zuck, you know the ones, kissing, touching of noses, mouths, and muzzles has been documented in African elephants, walruses, and mountain zebras. In non-mother-baby-related relations, chimps and bonobos have been seen kissing like their lives depended on it, like tongue and all. And wolves, prairie dogs, polar bears, and even albatrosses are into tongue as well. Perhaps as a way to greet each other, identify pack/colony members, and strengthen social bonds. So, as to why kissing exists, there are many explanations to choose from. So much so, one may feel unsatisfied and wanting more. Something like a solid, satisfying kiss. Well, I have great news. For real this time. If you want closure, I'm happy to report we may now know when kissing showed up in our ancestors' lives. We will meet the team that face-planted into this behavior by defining what a kiss is exactly, and who scoured hours of video of apes performing said kisses to confirm this behavior. Yes, you heard me. They watched a lot of video. We will look upon the Homo family tree, reaching back millions of years, and the equation used to estimate how likely it was that our ape ancestors kissed. So yeah, there's math involved, but I promise it won't kill the mood. Then after the break, girl, you know you can't kiss without a jaw, so when did that biological mechanism even appear? Well, if you joined us on the holiest day of the year in 2025, that being Halloween, you might have had to listen to episode 255. Let's talk about the sharpest teeth to ever exist so far, and you need to see what came out of the sun recently. It's a lot. In it, we learned about an aquatic creature called conodonts, a teeny terror that existed between 542 million to 200 million years ago, and their mouths were composed of a collection of horrors, a set of microscopic teeth that made them one of the best predators on Earth ever. But they didn't have a jaw. To paleontologists, this was evidence that jawless fish with their teeth emerged first in the evolutionary chain, and that jawed fish evolved afterwards. Yet again, the question of when is before us. Well, thanks to Ivan Sansom from the University of Birmingham and his team, who reconstructed shattered fossils found in a site in South China, we are a step closer to knowing. We will meet that team and those fossil fragments. We will put them together and behold the animal that said, I really need to make my life easier because chewing with only teeth really blows. We will learn when this jaw appeared and its shattering records itself. In the meantime, hi, I'm Jill Chacha, and if this is your first time listening, welcome to the flock, my irresistible business goose. I ask, what does your average workday entail? After commuting to the office, retail space, restaurant, or bar of your employer, and silently praying to yourself for the revolution to come swiftly and without pity, what do the following 8 hours look like? Well, I'm sure at best, whatever it is just okay. And at worst, well, whatever BS you may be facing, I'm 99% sure it doesn't involve watching hundreds of videos of apes getting it on in the name of science. That kind of day actually belonged to evolutionary biologist Matilda Brindle of the University of Oxford, lead author of the study we're getting it on with right now, and her colleagues, including Catherine Talbot of the Florida Institute of Technology and Stuart West of Oxford, who were scanning this footage looking for a very particular moment, a kiss. But as you can imagine, they first had to get through some things you just can't unsee. Quote, there's a lot about bonobo tongues going on, and that's not even the worst of it. End quote, Matilda said in an interview with NPR back in November of 2025. Well, I tip my hat to Matilda and the gang, because thanks to their sacrifice, a small piece of the human evolutionary puzzle has just popped into place. The origin of snogging. I mean kissing. An act those humans who participate in it generally take for granted. These researchers had the bold audacity to ask, y'all, hold up, when did we even start doing this? And then these researchers had the bold audacity to make a plan to figure it out. And I'm happy to report the plan involved more than watching our apey cousins in the throes of passion. First, the team needed clarification. As in, what type of kiss are we looking for exactly? As we learned at the top of the show, a kiss could have many a purpose. Just ask French grunts or hungry chimpanzee infants. After what I could only assume was a heated debate, the team settled on the following hyper-specific definition that leaves no room for the imagination. Quote, "We used a non-anthropocentric approach to define kissing as a non-agonistic interaction involving directed, intraspecific oral contact with some movement of the lips and mouth parts and no food transfer." End quote. From their study titled A Comparative Approach to the Evolution of Kissing. Well, damn. I'm fanning myself. That is merely a sexy way of saying, hey girl, this kiss, it won't be viewed through or based on the human experience. It won't involve conflict or any exchange of food. It's purely mouth-to-mouth contact, you dig? Yes, indeed. After digging this definition, the researchers moved on to step 2. If kissing can be pared down to strictly mouth-to-mouth contact, then the apes performing this act had to have the biological mechanisms to do it. Evolutionarily speaking, this meant analysis would begin millions of years ago and run up until today. If that sounds daunting, you're right. And it gets worse when you add in all the creatures that they had to look at, both monkeys and apes that evolved in Africa, Asia, and Europe. This was only step 2. And step 3, well, it was no picnic either. After determining which animals could kiss, they had to ask, how do you even begin to figure out if somebody was kissing somebody in an age and time that's unrecognizable, eons ago? Well, that's when YouTube comes in. But I'm getting ahead of myself. As reported by Chris Sims of New Scientist, in step 4, the team searched through piles of scientific literature and contacted primate researchers to seek out reports of kissing in modern monkeys and apes. These written accounts were then backed up by videos available on the Tube of You. And boy howdy, all of this was quite an educational experience for the team. Quote, "Just like humans, great apes kiss for a variety of reasons, from conveying sexual desire to indicating friendly, affectionate feelings. When chimps have an argument, they will often go and literally kiss and make up afterwards," end quote, said colleague Catherine Talbot to Stephanie Pappas of Scientific American. So now, my affectionate friend, the team felt they could bridge the kissing gap between ancient apes and the modern apes performing this behavior that came from them. Finally, all we need to do now is some pervy math. Here's what I mean. To estimate the likelihood that ancestral species also engaged in smooching, Matilda and the gang crafted a meticulous family tree of primates and ran a statistical approach called Bayesian modeling. Now, what the fuck is that? I am glad you asked. Everyone, please imagine the x and y axis of a graph. Thank you. Now place 3 curves on that graph, and it's totally okay and even preferred if they overlap a bit. Fantastic. And finally, if you will, label either of these curves prior distribution, likelihood, and posterior distribution. Fantastic. Looking great. Long clickety-clack calculation short. This here Bayesian model represents uncertainty with probabilities. And those probabilities are the result of combining previously known information, represented by the prior distribution curve, with new data and parameters, represented by likelihood. You take all that, and you input it into what's called Bayes' theorem, a mathematical formula bursting with letters and parentheses. As a handy visual, there's an illustration of all of this over today's post on the old socials. So, you're welcome. This was step 5. And step 5 popped out that last curve called posterior distribution, which is the brand spanking new updated probability for the parameters, aka the likelihood certain apes got it on. But, and big but here, they didn't run these numbers once. Oh, no. To make certain their certainties were on point, I shit you not, they ran the model 10 million times to make sure the results were reliable. That is not an exaggeration. They ran it literally 10 million times. So, after 10 million calculations were calculated, what did they find? Drumroll, please. Thank you in the back. Quote, they concluded that kissing evolved in the common ancestor of large apes sometime between 21.5 million and 16.9 million years ago. However, kissing was absent in ancestral groups that included today's macaques and baboons, suggesting that kissing evolved separately in the modern-day species belonging to these groups. End quote, as reported by Clarissa Brincat of Live Science. Well, holy shit, you heard Clarissa. Researchers estimate that kissing evolved after the great apes split from the lesser apes and from a common ancestor that lived approximately 21 million years ago. But that's not all. There's also some hot tea in this data. Pucker up for this. There's an 84% chance that our extinct relatives, Neanderthals, engaged in kissing too. And when you combine this massive probability with previous discoveries, it's looking like not only did Neanderthals embrace one another, but early humans as well. Oh my. April Noel, a Paleolithic archaeologist and professor of anthropology at the University of Victoria in British Columbia, who was not involved in this study, told Live Science in an email, that new study does align with previous findings. In a 2017 study titled Neanderthal Behavior, Diet, and Disease Inferred from Ancient DNA and Dental Calculus, microbes preserved in the dental plaque of a Neanderthal who lived 48,000 years ago actually matched with microbes found in modern human mouths. Yeah, this could mean one of two things, or even both. That Neanderthals and us homos may have kissed each other, and or we shared food and water. Which both is kind of hot. And if your teacup is empty, don't worry, I have even more for you. The team also found several patterns. As reported by Scientific American, species that kiss tend to have mating systems in which females mate with multiple males. And every species that kisses also engages in pre-mastication, or chewing food before giving it over to another individual, which could be a precursor to kissing. AKA, maybe that's how kissing evolved in the first place? ? As Matilda noted in her interview with said magazine, this paper is a, quote, cry for researchers to collect more data. So, expect more smooching your way. After the break, we are leaving apes for sharks. Yes, sharks, but we're sticking with our mouths. We are traveling even farther back in time to meet another relative, and one we can thank for our glorious jawline. Stay tuned.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. We are so back. And I ask, what's the largest jigsaw puzzle you ever completed? Or, hell, even attempted? Now, I have to be honest, I do not partake in these types of games because the initial disorder and the clutter of puzzle pieces leave me feeling overwhelmed to the point my mind defensively Homer Simpson backtracks into a hedge of disassociation. But for some folks, God bless you. Some of you out there, you just can't get enough, and our capitalist overlords are happy to answer your demands for more. For example, one of the largest commercially available puzzles has the straightforward name of Travel Around Art. By the time you place together its 54,000 pieces and make room for its 28-foot-long frame, you'll have yourself a replica of 50 classic works of art, which I'm sure is totally worth it. Now, for those who have accepted this challenge already and completed it, I tip my hat. But you're not as overachieving as these 1,600 students of the University of Economics at Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, who back in 2011 broke the Guinness World Record for completing a jigsaw puzzle with the most pieces. This one contained 551,232 pieces. And when it was snapped together, yeah, I know, you're like, what? Yes, you're right, over 500,000 pieces. And when it was snapped together, it depicted, quote, a lotus flower with 6 petals in symbolic representation of the 6 areas of knowledge envisioned by the mind map study method, end quote, from GuinnessWorldRecords.com. To these children, I say, children, you achieved your dream. And may that comfort you as I relay the following devastating information. Although the puzzle I'm about to cover is a mere 1,000 pieces, a group of researchers nerded so much harder, they successfully rewrote pages of evolutionary history. I'm sorry about your lotus. Let's get into it. And to do so, please join me, will you, in Zhejiang County, located in Guizhou Province. And for my fellow geographically challenged Americans who suddenly found themselves Homer Simpson backtracking into a hedge of disassociation, don't worry, I can help. Please imagine China. Thank you. Point to the very lower right-hand corner, and you'll find Hong Kong. Now, if you move your finger up and to the left just a few inches, we'll find ourselves in Guizhou Province. And boy howdy, despite the urge to take a ridiculous number of photos of its rolling, steep mountains covered in just about every shade of green imaginable, I have a feeling those photos won't do this place justice. It's the kind of beauty that leaves you speechless. But we're not here for this. We're here for what's underneath. A good portion of Zhejiang County is made of what's called Rangji Formation, which, long, millions of years, long story short, is itself made of shallow marine beds, overflowing with the fossils of early vertebrates, including placoderms and acanthopteans. Nailed it. Now, what in the ever-loving Christ are these things? I am so glad you asked. They're kind of a big deal. Around 520 million years ago, the first fish appeared in our oceans, but these fish had yet to evolve jaws. This would take what we thought about another 100 million years, as fossil records 400 million years ago exploded with 2 very distinct groups of fish who were all about that jaw life. If you imagine a large salmon, say 20 feet long or so, and give it medieval armor, you've pretty much got yourself a placoderm. They're identified by heavy, bony armor that covers their head and chest. In terms of teeth, placoderms didn't have teeth in the way we think of them today. Instead, their jaws were extensions of that bony armor plate which covered their noggin. As this medieval salmon closed its mouth, the upper and lower jaws would slide past each other like the blades of a pair of scissors. This friction was not only horrifying, but it acted as a self-sharpening mechanism, keeping those edges razor sharp. Acanthopteans, however, decided to take a different, more elegant approach. Think of these guys as the shark prototype. And I mean it. Let me know if any of this sounds familiar. Instead of donning heavy plates like old Placky over here, their bodies were covered in tiny diamond-shaped scales, with larger spikes running down their underbelly. This design allowed for way more agility and speed. And although their jaws were made of cartilage, some acanthopteans possessed actual teeth made of dentine, and their lower jaw had a unique arrangement known as a tooth whorl. As new teeth grew, the spiral would rotate, pushing older teeth outward. Yes, my equally toothy business goose, this is an early, primitive version of the conveyor belt of teeth seen in modern sharks today. In fact, the acanthoptean model, that of having separate teeth sitting on a jaw, was so successful it eventually became the blueprint for nearly every living vertebrate, including dinosaurs, birds, and humans. Which leads us back to Zhejiang County. If you want to find an Acanthoptean, literally the hero that helped design the mouth we have today, girl, it will be here. But no one expected this. During one particular excavation of the Rangji Formation, a shattered 1,000-piece fossil was uncovered, but stored away, possibly by someone whose mind also Homer Simpson backtracks under these circumstances. I'm not naming any names. Thankfully, however, it was not forgotten. A team of researchers from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Beijing Normal University, and the University of Birmingham had absolutely no hesitations when asked with putting whatever this was back together. So, after reconstructing and slipping this piece into that over 1,000 times, what did the team find? Drumroll, please. Thank you again in the back. I'm going to start with the most straightforward information, because after this, holy shit, it's going to get wild. This creature existed 439 million years ago, and thanks to some signature spikes, the team deduced this baby was an Acanthoptean, making it 15 million years older than the oldest jawed animal fossil already on file. That, in itself, is impressive. It's already a headliner, the oldest jawed animal so far. But y'all, that fact is only the beginning. As it turns out, a lot can happen in 15 million years. Here's where this creature gets wild. One, not only was our ancient spiky shark friend, well, spiky, but it also possessed bony shoulder armor similar to placoderms. This suggests that the heavy medieval armor trait might have been ancestral to all jawed fish, and Acanthopteans actually ditched it in favor of the sleeky and sexy look. And two, and I quote, unexpectedly, the fossil bones show evidence of extensive resorption and remodeling that are typically associated with skeletal development in bony fish and humans. This level of hard tissue modification is unprecedented in a group that includes modern cartilaginous fish and their extinct ancestors, end quote, said lead author Dr. Plamen Andreev, a researcher at Beijing, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on here. A researcher at Beijing Normal University in the team's press release. Continuing the quote, it speaks about greater than currently understood developmental plasticity of the mineralized skeletons at the onset of jawed fish diversification, end quote. Jesus, my sleek and sexy friends. That is just a complicated and fancy way of saying, holy shit, this fish, 439 million years ago, already had the capacity to heal and grow bone. And finally, number 3. Remember when I said jawless fish popped up around 520 million years ago? And it was believed it took another 100 million years to change that? Clearly, thanks to our new friend, called Fangjingshania renovata, that is way off. It's possible the common-jawed ancestor of humans and sharks likely lived around 455 million years ago, chopping that estimate in half. We only need to go out there and find more puzzles and put them back together for certainty. But don't look at me. I can't do it. Please don't. Don't ask me. In the meantime, Fangjingshania renovata got its name from the UNESCO World Heritage Site Fangjingshan, also located in Guizhou Province. Now, I'm assuming they chose this place as its soaring steep mountains resemble the early shark's spikes. But you would never know that looking at the artist rendering of this animal over at our social media stuff. So please chop whatever the fuck you're holding right now. I'm crying. Listen, I'm not throwing shade. I actually love it. I love it so much. But, oh my God, I love it. I think it should be a tattoo. Please, take a look, take a peek, and tell me that that doesn't look like a sock puppet. I love her. I love it so much. I love this thing. It looked like a sock puppet. And I love you. Thank you for listening, rating, subscribing, following, telling your friends about how old kissing is, but it's actually really weird. And then be silent, like make it awkward. And then tell them about the oldest known jawed ancestor. It's 439 million years old, and it looks like a sock puppet. Oh, God. A chocolatey thanks to the folks over at Airwave Media, the podcast network to which WTI belongs. If you love this show, and you do, you'll love the other podcasts in this family. And please, stay interesting.